poor girl ashamed of her old dress, then a billionaire dances with her midnight under the stars. The clock struck midnight, and the shimmering glow of the stars above painted a celestial backdrop for a night that would change everything. Rebecca stood on the edge of the lush garden, her heart pounding like a drum. She felt so out of place, trapped in a world of glitter, while she was just a dull penny in her faded dress. It clung to her like an old memory, a constant reminder of her reality. Everyone around her sparkled with luxury, laughter ringing like chimes in the cool night air, while she felt like a ghost walking among the living. And then she saw him. Nathaniel Redford, the billionaire, gliding through the crowd like a wave through the ocean. He was tall, with dark hair swept back, eyes that sparkled brighter than the stars themselves. A magnetic force exuded from him, pulling everyone in, yet he seemed utterly alone, as if the weight of the world rested on his shoulders. His laughter echoed, vibrant and infectious, but there was an underlying sadness lurking beneath his charm. A brief flicker of vulnerability that caught Rebecca off guard, her chest tightening with an inexplicable empathy. The closer she looked, the more she felt drawn to him. A twinge of courage ignited. She could do this, she told herself. The world turned blurry around her, muffled voices turning into mere whispers, as she took a deep breath and stepped forward. But just then, a group of well-dressed women laughed, their eyes landing on her with sharp judgments. "What is she doing here?" One of them scoffed loudly, as Rebecca's cheeks flushed hot with shame. The laughter split the air like glass shattering, slicing through her resolve. The music shifted to a slow melody, and she watched as Nathaniel offered his hand to the elegant woman next to him. She felt the lump in her throat while her fingers trembling, desperately wishing for a chance, for just a moment. Would he ever notice her? Was there still hope for someone like her in a place like this? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the song played on, she almost missed it. Nathaniel's gaze flickered toward her, locking in for just a heartbeat. Something in his eyes shifted, a spark of interest, perhaps even recognition. He stepped away from the elegantly dressed woman, leaving her momentarily shocked, and began to make his way through the crowd, directly toward Rebecca. Her breath caught in her throat. Could it be? A billion thoughts raced through her mind, and with each step he took, her heart hammered louder. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice low and intimate, drowning out the rest of the world. She could hardly process her thoughts enough to respond. The night stretched ahead like an unwritten novel, every secret whispering from the shadows. The moment felt surreal, charged with anticipation. Would this dance under the stars change everything? Or would the weight of her old dress drag her back down into darkness? Rebecca's heart raced as Nathaniel's piercing eyes stayed locked onto hers. She could feel the world around them melt away, the laughter, the music, it all faded into a soft hum. I'm Rebecca," she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. The power of his presence left her knees weak, and she could barely find her footing. "Rebecca," he repeated, as if tasting the name. He smiled, and it felt like the sun breaking through a cloudy day. "What are you doing standing alone?" She glanced around, acutely aware of the laughter still echoing from the judgmental group. I just wandered outside for some fresh air." The truth hung heavy on her tongue, but it felt too raw to share. He stepped closer, the air around them buzzing with tension. "You don't belong out here alone, especially not at a night like this." His eyes sparkled with sincerity. "Come dance with me." Behind him, the elegant woman he had been talking to watched in shock. The whispers spread through the crowd like wild gossip, eyes darting from Rebecca to Nathaniel. "Who does she think she is?" someone gasped. But Rebecca didn't care. All that mattered was the way he was looking at her, inviting her into a world that felt impossibly out of reach. With trembling hands, she took his, warm and reassuring. The moment she stepped closer to him, she felt the gravity of her old dress, and the shame that clung to it begin to fade. They moved to the center of the garden, surrounded by a sea of onlookers, all judgment mingled with curiosity. As they began to sway to the music, he leaned in just enough for her to hear him over the melody. "You're stunning, you know that?" A flush crept into her cheeks at the unexpected compliment. Did he truly mean it? "But this place, it's not me. I'm just a girl in an old dress." The admission slipped out before she could catch it, a sharp reminder of her reality. He paused their movement, searching her face with those intense eyes that saw right through her facade. "You think this dress defines you?" Well, it's all I have." There was a knot in her throat again, tighter this time. Nathaniel's expression softened, and he brushed a stray hair behind her ear. "You define you, Rebecca, not what you wear." As they danced, something shifted within her and unsteady confidence began to blossom. Maybe she didn't need to hide. Maybe beyond the initial glances and whispers, there was a world waiting for her to step into it. But just as hope flared inside her, a loud voice pierced through the melody. "Nathaniel, what are you doing?" It was the woman he had left, fury written across her face, disrupting everything. Rebecca looked between them, confusion swirling in her mind. "I should go," she said, the warmth of the moment suddenly turning cold. "No." "Stay," Nathaniel insisted, his voice urgent. The tension in the air thickened, and the crowd held its breath, sitting on the edge of their seats as drama brewed in the air like a summer storm. "Don't let her ruin this," he urged, but a part of Rebecca wanted to retreat, to go back to her world of shadows. But beneath the swirling chaos, the question loomed: was she ready to fight for something new, for a moment that could change everything? Or would she let the shadows pull her back into their depths? As she met Nathaniel's gaze, a new flicker ignited. Was this really the moment she had been waiting for? Just then, a deafening crash echoed across the garden, causing everyone to turn. The night was about to take an unexpected turn. The crash shattered the fragile atmosphere like glass hitting a stone floor. Gasps rippled through the crowd, and Rebecca's heart plummeted as she instinctively flinched. A decorative lantern had toppled over, its light extinguished in an instant, but something more sinister lurked beneath the surface. Rebecca's eyes darted towards Nathaniel. His face had drained of color as he instinctively moved in front of her, shielding her from the chaos unfolding behind him. Fear bubbled in her chest, mingling with something unexpected, a surge of fierce hope. The elegant woman stormed towards them, fury and jealousy radiating from her every step. "So, this is where you've been," she spat, her sharp voice slicing through the air like a blade. "With her? Really, Nathaniel?" "Just hold on a second, Elise," Nathaniel replied, his voice steady but tight. But Rebecca could hear the underlying tension. The way he looked at her, protecting her, made a strange, fierce warmth surge through Rebecca despite the situation spiraling dangerously. "Why don't you go back to your little crowd?" Elise tossed back, her eyes narrowing. "I'm sure they need someone to make fun of." The tension crackled, the spectators drawn in like moths to a flame, their whispers rising and falling like the waves of an incoming storm. Rebecca's limbs felt heavy, as though the weight of everyone's eyes pressed down upon her. She was rooted in place, uncertainty flooding her mind. "Don't let her get to you, Rebecca," Nathaniel said quietly, his focus unwavering. He turned back to Elise, his voice low and firm. "You need to stop this." "Oh, don't butter her up now, Nathaniel. It's pathetic." Elise's laughter echoed, mocking and elevated, the sound cutting through Rebecca's fragile confidence. She doesn't belong here. A swell of anger within Rebecca flickered dangerously close to boiling over. Maybe I don't, she said, her voice gaining strength. But you should really take a hard look at yourself. The silence that followed felt electric. Elise recoiled, stunned into momentary silence, and that flicker of rebellion within Rebecca burned brighter. Maybe she could be more than just an outsider. Maybe she could own this moment. Why are you really here, Elise? Nathaniel asked, his tone shifting. There was an authority in his voice that Rebecca had never heard before. Is it because you want to control everyone around you? Elise sneered, a venomous smile spreading across her face. This is all about you, isn't it? You know you'll never get far with her. Without thinking, Nathaniel stepped closer to Rebecca, intertwining their fingers, creating an unspoken bond amplified by the drama around them. If I wanted to control anything, he said, his eyes never leaving hers, it's to stand beside the people who mean something to me. The audience was caught in the crossfire, and Rebecca could hear their whispers rise again, fueled by intrigue and the sudden twist in the narrative. Hope swirled dangerously in her chest as she realized Nathaniel's unwavering belief in her could become her anchor. But beneath the surface, a darkness lurked. A new voice broke through the tension. A tall man emerged from the shadows of the garden, a dagger of a glare directed at Nathaniel. You think you're above all this? You think your charm can just sweep away the truth? Rebecca froze. The night was shifting again. She could feel something monumental was about to unfold. Who are you? Nathaniel demanded, his demeanor shifting as the reality of the new threat began to sink in. I'm the one who knows the secrets everyone here would love to forget, the man replied, smirking. And tonight, I'm going to expose them. Rebecca's stomach lurched. What secrets? What truths could unravel this chaotic moment? The dance had ended, but the game had just begun. Rebecca's pulse raced, echoed by the low murmurs of the crowd enveloping them. They all waited, breaths held, as if suspended in time. The tall man, dressed in dark shades, wore an unsettling confidence, his jaw set tight. Each word he spoke hung in the air like a dark fog, stifling the warmth of the summer night. I know your little secrets, Nathaniel, he sneered, taking a deliberate step forward. The lies you've fed everyone to keep your perfect little world intact. His eyes flashed with an unsettling excitement, like a predator stalking its prey. Get lost, Nathaniel replied, his voice taut, though Rebecca could sense a tremor underneath a crack in the armor he'd so carefully constructed. She squeezed his hand tighter, feeling the warmth of his skin grounding her in the face of rising panic. But deep down, questions swirled through her mind. What was this adversary talking about? Laughter filled Elise's voice, shrill and harsh. You're not just a pretty face, are you, Nathaniel? The truth hurts, doesn't it? Her gaze flitted between Rebecca and Nathaniel, as if savoring the impending disaster. Rebecca raised her chin defiantly. Tell me, she spoke, her voice steadier than she felt. What secrets? Her heart hammered a relentless rhythm, wheeling with anxiety and determination. She refused to let his words shatter her newfound confidence. Ah, the little bird wants to know? The man chuckled, shaking his head like a teacher scolding a mischievous child. Nathaniel's not as clean as he pretends. Did you know he is tangled in debts? And his dear family, they're hiding things far darker than you can imagine. Gasps escalated through the gathering crowd. Rebecca felt the weight of their scrutinizing stares sharpen like daggers. Whispers twisted around her, enveloping her in a cloak of unease. This wasn't just about her and Nathaniel anymore. They were being yanked into an unfolding chaos, a spectacle no one could turn away from. Nathaniel, is this true? She blurted, her heart sinking. She had fought so hard to claim her place in this world, only to see it teeter on the brink of collapse. But his expression remained resolute, a flicker of determination illuminating his features. "No," he said sharply, looking directly into her eyes. "Not anymore. I'm no longer defined by my family's mistakes." The dark man pressed closer, almost taunting. "That's not what the records show." "Why now?" Nathaniel countered, visible tension lining his broad shoulders. "What do you gain from this?" "Oh, I'm just the messenger, Nathaniel. But the truth is always a powerful weapon. I'd hate to see it misused." The underlying thread hung ominously in the air, and Rebecca realized there was more than just secrets at stake. "What do you want?" she asked, heart racing, willing to confront whatever lay ahead. "Just a little payback," he sneered, leaning closer. "This facade ends tonight, and everyone will know who you truly are, Nathaniel." As dread settled like ice in Rebecca's stomach, the crowd stirred restlessly, caught between fascination and growing tension. Like a string about to snap, the scenario spiraled uncontrollably. "Wait!" she shouted suddenly, the words bursting forth with desperation. "Don't do this." But the man barely glanced at her, his focus entangled in Nathaniel's gaze, an exhilarating thrill of confrontational power igniting in his expression. In that moment, as silence swallowed the space between them, Rebecca felt the precariousness of the night weigh heavily. With the truth hanging like a sword above them, a surging tide of fear intertwined with a shred of urgency clawed at Rebecca. She had been thrust into a storm, caught in a game of manipulation and power, and she needed to sink or swim. What other truths lay buried in the shadows? Whose secrets would escape next? And how far would Nathaniel go to protect what they had built together? As the crowd leaned in, the stakes morphed into something catastrophic. The dance of deception had truly begun, and the revelation would send ripples crashing through their lives. But with every revelation, hope flickered in her heart. She thought of what they could achieve together facing the tempest. What would Nathaniel do now? The tension thickened, stretching out the moment, and Rebecca felt the weight of the world on her shoulders, desperately gripping the threads of their fates. When the next word was spoken, would it bind them or tear them apart? Rebecca's heart raced, not just from adrenaline, but from a growing dread that swirled around her like smoke. The atmosphere thickened as the crowd surged with anticipation, eyes darting between Nathaniel and the shadow of his nemesis. Every whisper felt like electric sparks, igniting the air around them. Then Nathaniel spoke, his voice steady but low, barely breaking through the fervor. "You don't know what you're talking about. You think you can shake me with these lies?" There was a fierceness in his eyes now, a hint of the fearless man she had come to admire. "Oh, but they're not lies, are they?" The man's smile was wicked, cutting through the tension like a knife. "You can try to hide behind that pretty grin, Nathaniel, but at the end of the day, truth comes out. And believe me, it will. Your debts, your family's skeletons. They're all here tonight to witness your fall." Crowd murmurs danced on the wind, mixed with gasps. Rebecca felt the gravity of their stares, weighing her down. She turned back to Nathaniel, searching his face for anything she might cling to. "Please, tell me, what is he talking about?" Her voice cracked, fear gripping her throat. "I'll explain everything later," he assured her, brushing his thumb against her fingers, grounding her even for just a moment. But the almost tender gesture couldn't quell the encroaching storm. "You think you can control the narrative? This isn't your story anymore." The dark figure spat, laughter threading his words. "This is the night the world sees who you are, Nathaniel. No more hiding." Rebecca took a shaky breath, feeling flames licking at the edges of her resolve. "What do you want from him?" she demanded, a sudden fire igniting in her chest. "What do you gain by destroying his life?" The weight of everyone's gaze shifted back to her, her challenge echoing through the night. "I want to take what he has, and expose him for the coward he is. Let us see how polished his image remains when the truth floods in." The man stepped closer, eyes gleaming with excitement. It was a twisted game for him. She could see that. And you, my dear, are just a pawn in all of this. Rebecca could almost hear the collective intake of breath from the crowd. Fear mixed with courage pulsed through her veins, igniting a fury she didn't know she had. I am not a pawn, she shouted, her voice trembling but loud enough to stir a few whispers of agreement from the onlookers. The man lunged, and Rebecca felt Nathaniel tense beside her, the muscles in his arms coiling like ropes. Watch your mouth, girl. This isn't your business. It's about power, and you're standing far too close to the flames. Then let them burn, she shot back, defiance lacing her words. You think you can frighten us? We will face whatever truth you throw our way together. A dark laugh rolled off the man's tongue, a malevolent thunder. But there was something flickering in Nathaniel's eyes, a growing spark ignited by her words. Rebecca, he started. Don't back down, she whispered, her breath intertwining with resolve. But before Nathaniel could respond, the crowd erupted, a mass of surprised reactions swirling about them. The man leaned back, enjoying the spectacle he had created. Ah, revelation awaits, sweetheart. Just wait. He turned, scanning the crowd with an unsettling satisfaction. Prepare to watch the curtain fall. The mood shifted, anticipation crackling in the air as the man raised an arm, commanding silent attention. In the stillness, Rebecca felt dread seep back in, the atmosphere heavy, with something brewing beneath the surface. And then, he spoke. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare for the truth to unfold. Rebecca's heart stuttered. What was he holding over their heads? What nightmare was about to unfurl? As she glanced at Nathaniel, she saw determination flicker there. They were standing at the edge of a precipice, and what lay below was darkness. But would they leap together, or would they fall apart? Time felt suspended. Whatever came next would change everything. As tension thickened, the man's eyes sparkled with mischief, like a cat, ready to pounce. What disaster awaited them next? The crowd held its breath, waiting for revelation. The moment hung heavy, thick with anticipation. Time seemed to stretch, and in that silence, every heartbeat echoed loudly through the crowd. Rebecca's skin prickled with a mix of fear and adrenaline, a pulse racing somewhere deep inside her. She leaned slightly closer to Nathaniel, her fingers clutching as tightly, afraid what might come next. The man's grin widened, almost grotesque in the shimmering lights of the evening. Tonight, we unveil more than just truths tonight. We reveal monsters hiding in plain sight. He relished the reaction, gasping breaths, murmured disbelief. Let us discuss your dear father, Nathaniel. Shall we? A collective gasp rippled through the audience. Rebecca turned sharply toward Nathaniel, hoping to catch some flicker of confidence or reassurance, but his face was locked in a tense line, every inch of him coiled tight like a spring ready to snap. Stop it! She shouted, her voice ringing sharp against the growing murmur of the crowd. This isn't a game to us. The man took a step closer, his eyes glinting with cruel satisfaction. Oh, but it is a game, dear Rebecca. A wicked game. Everyone loves a spectacle, and trust me, this is just the beginning. He paused, making sure every eye was on him. Nathaniel's perfect life isn't what you think. Behind the charming facade lies a history rich with secrets. The crowd shifted, and Rebecca could almost feel the collective nerves tingle, apprehension packing the air around them. People leaned in, captivated, hungry for drama. Her heart pounded faster, panic crashing over her like a wave. You don't have to do this. Please, she urged, desperately. The man only chuckled, a sound that dripped with mockery. Oh, but I must. You see, Nathaniel has been drawing in wealth and influence while he swept his past under a very ugly rug. What past? Rebecca demanded, her voice rising amid the chaos. Tell us. What did he do? Have any of you heard of the Van Wyck scandal? He asked, a wicked glee coloring his words. The crowd stirred again, whispers echoing like volcanoes about to erupt. What scandal? Someone finally cried out, and a wave of interest grew as if the crowd were building towards an inevitable breaking point. His family deceit, betrayal, and more. A fortune built upon a ruined life. The man gestured expansively, drawing in every gaze like a magician revealing a trick. And Nathaniel the star of it all. Wouldn't you love to see what he hides? As he revealed each sentence, Rebecca felt the air shift, choking out her hopes. Nathaniel's jaw tightened, and she could see the crack forming in his cool facade. Nathaniel, is it true? She whispered, fear causing her voice to tremble. Her question hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. The crowd hushed, eyes flicking between Nathaniel and the dark figure, eager for the protagonist to take the stage in their tragic drama. The silence felt unbearable. Finally, Nathaniel took a breath, and she could feel the weight of the world on his shoulders. Rebecca, he hesitated, staring into the crowd, and she fell back into the storm of silence. Tell her the truth, Nathaniel, urged the man, pressing his advantage. Let us see the brave hero crumble before everyone's eyes. A stunned gasp echoed through the audience, and the tension snapped like a fragile thread. In that moment, everything felt as if it were dangling on a thin precipice. He opened his mouth, and for a heartbeat, nothing came out. What would he say? Would he shatter before the onlookers, or would he find strength in the truth? The dark figure smirked, sensing victory just within reach. Time to decide, Nathaniel. Are you ready to face your demons? Rebecca's heart thudded painfully in her chest. This was no longer just about Nathaniel's past, it was about them, about everything they had built together, and everything that now lay in peril. The dance of shadows and truth spun around them, and with it came the looming question that lingered like a storm waiting to break. What dark secret would Nathaniel reveal, and could their bond withstand the impact? The atmosphere crackled with tension. Rebecca held her breath, desperation clawing at her throat. The silence felt almost alive, heavy with the weight of unknown truths. Nathaniel stood there, a statue caught between two worlds, the man he was, and the shadowy figure of his past threatening to unravel everything. Nathaniel finally murmured, his voice barely a whisper, but each word was sharpened with a knife's edge of resolve. The crowd shifted, a ripple of anticipation washing over them, as they leaned forward, straining to catch every syllable. Didn't he want you to find out this way? His grip on Rebecca tightened, trembling ever so slightly. My family's past is something I have fought hard to bury, and yet here it is, dragged into the light. The lurking figure chuckled softly, hardly a whisper. What a noble effort, Nathaniel! But some histories refuse to be forgotten. The smugness in his voice made Rebecca's skin crawl. What did your father do? What lies did your family spin to build their empire? Enough! Nathaniel snapped, his voice rising above the tense murmurs, finally breaking through. He took a moment, eyes blazing, heart pounding. What you all think you know is just the tip of the iceberg. The Van Wyck scandal was nothing more than a distraction. Actors in this twisted play started to lose patience, murmurs of confusion morphing into a cacophony of doubt and curiosity. Rebecca felt the shadows closing in, the whispers swirling around her. What was he hiding? Nathaniel took a deep breath, as though he were preparing for battle. My family's legacy isn't filled with glitz and glamour. It's filled with fear and pain. A beloved uncle who went missing after trying to expose my father's fraudulent dealings. He was the black sheep, the one who decided that enough was enough. And then he disappeared. Gasps erupted in the crowd. Rebecca's heart dropped. Nathaniel had just lit a fuse that couldn't be extinguished. So no more lies, no more hiding. Nathaniel pressed on, voice wavering between defiance and despair. I stand here not as a perfect son, but as a man riddled with the memories of choices I didn't make. I can't change who they are, but I'm trying to change who I am. Is this where we start handing out medals? The dark figure taunted, his tone dripping with disdain. How heroic of you! But let's not forget the blood on your family's hands. The crowd surged, the tension thickening like fog. Rebecca felt a deep anxiety tightening her chest. She had come here to support him, to stand by him, but now uncertainty clouded her feelings. Was Nathaniel less than he seemed? Were all his claims just a smokescreen masking deeper darkness? Look, he glanced at her, his eyes searching her face for something, maybe forgiveness, maybe understanding. But all she could muster was a blur of thoughts, each one more concerning than the last. Why couldn't you have told me sooner? She whispered harshly, the disbelief cracking her own facade. Nathaniel's expression fell. I wanted to protect you, Rebecca, but the crowd was restless, caught in a spiral of whispers, questions exploding like 1,000 fireworks. I want to let you spin this narrative, he shouted, turning to the dark figure, fists clenched. You think you hold the power? You don't know anything about me. The man's smile faded, replaced by a glint of something dangerous. Oh, Nathaniel, don't be confused. This is just the beginning. Your past is coming for you, whether you like it or not. Rebecca felt a chill crawl up her spine, each syllable carrying weight. What had Nathaniel unleashed? What monuments of half-truths and dark secrets loomed behind his composed facade? She grabbed Nathaniel's arm. We need to go. We can't let this continue. But even as she said it, doubt settled in her gut. She was losing him as surely as the crowd was losing its faith in who he was. Just then, the lights flickered ominously, casting long shadows that seemed to tease the edge of hope. The figure laughed, a sound that sent shivers racing down her spine. Run all you want, but every monster has its day. Tonight, Nathaniel will face what he has sown. What happens next? Rebecca realized she had unwittingly asked the lingering question that spiraled anxieties, echoing within the crowd. Because if she hadn't known Nathaniel's darkness until now, what else lay hidden in the depths of his heart? A frightened gasp escaped her lips. Could their bond survive after all? And in that moment, as shadows loomed and secrets unfurled, one terrifying thought thundered in her mind: what would be revealed next? The tension in the air was palpable, a thick ribbon of fear and curiosity running through the crowd. Rebecca's heart raced, and each thud felt like a countdown. She could see Nathaniel's face, a mix of anger and desperation, flickering like a candle flame threatened by the wind. The dark figure's laughter echoed around them, like a haunting melody, raising goosebumps on her skin. Come on, Nathaniel, she urged, pulling him closer. We need to leave before what? He shot back, his frustration pouring out. Before I confront the truth? This is my life, Rebecca. I can't run from it anymore. But the figure was closing in, a predator circling its prey, impossibly calm. Make no mistake, Nathaniel. The truth is much darker than you think. Your family's sins are just the beginning. Your uncle, he wasn't the only one digging too deep. Rebecca's breath hitched. What do you mean? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. The figure's smile widened, as though the moment was stitched into some cruel tapestry of fate. The truth of your family's legacy will shatter everything you believe. Are you ready for that? Enough. Nathaniel's voice exploded through the din, shaking the cobwebs of doubt off Rebecca's heart for just a moment. Whatever you think you know, I will find out for myself. With shaking hands, he stepped toward the figure, the crowd holding its breath. There was something almost noble in his stance, but Rebecca could sense the specter of betrayal lurking just behind his resolve. You're not going to intimidate me into silence. Not now. Not ever. The figure tilted his head, intrigued. Brave words from a boy whose past is bleeding into his future. Do you know where your uncle disappeared, Nathaniel? You have no idea how deep this goes. Fear threaded through Rebecca, chilling her to her core. Nathaniel's uncle had vanished without a trace, swept away like a whisper in a storm. Nathaniel, we should be careful, she warned, her voice desperate. Please, but Nathaniel didn't falter. I won't let fear take hold any more. I've spent too long shackled by this darkness. The figure grinned, a shark sensing blood in the water. Ah, but darkness is clever. It dresses itself in safe shadows, always lurking. Your uncle learned that too late. Around them, the crowd stirred uneasily, whispers swelling like a tide. Rebecca could see doubt turning into suspicion, and it sickened her stomach. Faces once filled with admiration now clouded with judgment. With each passing moment, Nathaniel seemed to transform into a stranger, burdened by the weight of the past. Then, to Rebecca's horror, Nathaniel turned to face the crowd. Listen, he implored, voice rising above the murmurs. I don't expect you to understand my pain, but I am not my family. My uncle fought for what was right, and I will too. Will you? The figure leaned closer, eyes glimmering with malicious glee. Or will you become just another Van Wyck tale of broken promises and hidden bodies? The deeper you dig, the more you'll risk losing the ones you hold dear. A wave of confusion crashed over the crowd as they exchanged nervous glances. Rebecca's heart plummeted. Was Nathaniel really ready to confront this darkness? Was the love they shared strong enough to withstand the secrets spilling from the past? With a sharp intake of breath, Nathaniel's face twisted into uncertainty. What does that mean? He demanded. What else haven't I been told? The figure chuckled softly, bringing forth a barrage of unsettling laughter. You're about to find out, he taunted, cryptic and chilling. Bruised forward, Rebecca helped Nathaniel regain his footing, but uncertainty hung between them like a heavy fog. We can figure this out together, she insisted, but doubt hung on her lips. The crowd watched, riveted, as the derisive laughter mingled with whispers from the shadows. There was something unforgiving about the figure, as though he held a key to a door Nathaniel was ready to open. Are you prepared for the truth? The figure sneered, eyes boring into Nathaniel's very soul. Rebecca's breath caught in her throat. Nathaniel's past was a storm rolling in, and the worst of it had yet to break. With each heartbeat, she felt time slipping away, visions of love flickering darkly before her eyes. Don't listen to him, she whispered fiercely, pressing her palm against his cheek. I believe in you. And just like a switch, the lights flickered again, flooding the scene with chaotic shadows, as the figure smiled. It was time for revelations. What truths would come crashing down? How much would Nathaniel truly have to sacrifice? As the darkness thickened, one thing was certain: nothing would be the same again. The air tightened as Nathaniel stood frozen, faced with the figure that threatened to unravel everything. The flickering lights cast eerie shadows on the crowd's faces, distorting their features into expressions of doubt and mockery. Rebecca felt her stomach twist. Was her love enough to shield him from impending danger? You want the truth? The dark figure taunted, stepping closer. The scent of damp earth and decayed dreams clung to him like a shroud. Then let us peel back the layers, shall we? Your uncle's secrets go deeper than you know. Stop! Nathaniel's voice echoed with a mix of defiance and fear. He could feel the weight of the crowd's scrutiny, their judgment sharp as daggers aimed at his heart. You think you know me? You think you know my family? I know more than you can fathom, Nathaniel. They used the Van Wyck name to cover their sins. Do you think your uncle vanished without reason? What if I told you he had allies in the shadows? The figure's words hung in the air like a thick fog, and with each passing second, Rebecca's fear blossomed into a panic that clenched her chest. She could see it in Nathaniel's eyes, the flicker of fear battling with unwieldy anger, a concoction that could light a fuse. Who were they? Nathaniel demanded, his voice trembling but resolute. Fire danced in his gaze, but doubt threatened to extinguish it. Tell me. The figure leaned in, whispering like a serpent coiling around its prey. Your uncle wasn't he just fighting for truth? He was dabbling in things meant to remain buried. He was seeking answers to questions the Van Wicks should never have asked. Lies? Nathaniel shouted, though even he felt the tremor of uncertainty. Rebecca clutched his arm, willing strength into him through the connection of their skin. The figure's laughter reverberated, a chilling, hollow sound. Just wait. The truth always demands payment. Are you willing to pay it, Nathaniel? Because I can show you what your family really buried under this town as surface. Something cracked within Nathaniel, that noble facade giving way to a flicker of doubt. You're just trying to scare me into backing down, he yelled, taking a step back, needing space to breathe. Am I? Or am I simply offering you clarity? The figure's eyes glinted dangerously. What if I told you your family had a hand in your uncle's disappearance? What if they sacrificed their own for the sake of power? The truth is never simple, Nathaniel. Shock coursed through Rebecca. The blood drained from her face. What if everything they knew was wrong? She glanced at the crowd, their expressions shifting from curiosity to fear, confusion twisting their community into a tightening noose. What do you want? Nathaniel finally asked, his voice barely a whisper, and the crowd hushed in anticipation. What I want, the figure purred, is for you to understand the cost of knowledge. If you choose to pursue this, know it could lead you to your darkest fears, and to a truth that might consume you whole. It was like a punch in the gut, the thread hanging heavy in the air. Around them, audiences shifted restlessly, caught in the suspense, hanging on to every ragged breath. Rebecca, what if yes right? Nathaniel asked, fear breaking through his defiance. What if my family's past destroys everything? Rebecca felt as if the ground was falling away beneath her. She held his gaze, desperately searching for a way to reassure him. Yet all she could muster was, "We will face it together." The dark figure took this moment, drawing closer, the shadows dancing as if they were alive. "Then prepare yourself," he said, voice a deadly whisper that wrapped around Nathaniel like a serpent. "Your journey begins now, and the price will haunt you." With that, the light snapped out, plunging them into inky darkness. Rebecca's heart raced. "What just happened?" she gasped, her voice rising in panic. The crowd was lost in the void, uncertainty echoing in the absence of light. Nathaniel's breath hitched beside her. "I don't know," but a flicker of light ignited in the distance, casting a dim glow. But it wasn't just a light. It was a doorway, one that beckoned them with an enticing yet perilous glow, the promise of revelations that could shatter their world again. "Are we really going to go in?" Rebecca asked, clenching Nathaniel's hand tightly, her heart pounding with both fear and an unexpected thrill. Nathaniel hesitated, but the spark of determination ignited once more in his gaze. "If we don't, we may live in fear forever." And as they stepped toward the door, Rebecca couldn't shake the feeling that whatever secrets awaited them would change their lives irrevocably. What lay beyond that threshold? Would they emerge victorious, or were they willingly diving into an abyss that could drag them both under? The light flickered, illuminating their path like a beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness. Rebecca glanced back at the crowd swirling in unease, their eyes wide with fear and anticipation. The whispers had died down, a collective breath held, waiting for the next drastic turn. She could sense their judgment simmering beneath the surface, but one thought anchored her: she was not alone. She squeezed Nathaniel's hand tightly, feeling the strength coursing between them, a lifeline in these turbulent waters. "Together," she whispered, and his eyes softened, locking onto hers with a fierce determination. With that shared promise, they stepped forward into the light. The air shimmered around them, transforming as they crossed the threshold into another reality, a world filled with echoes and shadows. The walls of this space were lined with old photographs and documents, glimmering like ghosts from the past. Each step felt heavy, as memories pulsed through it, a history they would have to confront to find closure. What lay in the room was more than mere evidence. It was a story begging to be unveiled. Ancient secrets spilled forth, but Nathaniel paused, his breath hitching. This is it, this is what they wanted to keep hidden. Rebecca felt the weight of his fear, and a lump rose in her throat. What if we can change it? She suggested, though her own heart raced with trepidation. Nathaniel shook his head slowly, a flicker of the confident man she had danced with returning. No more running. If I face this, maybe it will break the chains holding us both back. As they moved deeper into the room, the shadows danced, revealing portraits of his family lives intertwined in a web of secrets. And there, nestled among them, was the missing uncle, his eyes penetrating, seemingly alive with questions echoing through the ages. What secrets did you protect? Nathaniel groaned, frustration tightening his voice. He reached for a dusty envelope, the edges worn from time. Heart pounding, he tore it open, reading aloud in disbelief. Deals made, lives traded for power? For survival? Each word struck Rebecca like a blow, shattering any illusion of the life she thought they could build together. She felt her heart sink. The weight of Nathaniel's lineage was heavy, threatening to crush the fragile hope they had built under those stars. But then something sparked within her, her own resolve igniting. We can confront this together. Whatever happened, we can rewrite the narrative. His eyes locked onto hers, a mixture of admiration and dread swirling behind them. Rewrite it? He echoed. What if that means exposing things we don't want to face? Then we do it, she breathed fiercely. But on our terms. The determination between them crystallized, surging like electricity through the air. They could see the door behind them, the world outside, the crowd, it all stretched out like a decision awaiting them. Would they choose to reclaim their narrative, or let the shadows of the past dictate their future? As Nathaniel placed the envelope down, a sudden noise echoed through the halls, the darkness heavy in its wake. The figure emerged from the shadows, a smirk plastered on his face. Thought you could escape? This can't be your climax. Watch me, Nathaniel retorted, defiance igniting in his frame. You think you control the narrative? I've spent too long letting fear dictate my choices. Tonight, I bring my truth to light. The dark figure retreated slightly, surprise flickering across his features. Oh, you truly believe you can break free? The past will always haunt you. Not if I choose to confront it. Nathaniel shot back, standing taller alongside Rebecca, each of them drawing strength from the other. As fear faded, hope surged, lifting the weight of generations off their shoulders. One last push was needed. Rebecca kept her eyes focused on Nathaniel, feeling the connection between them pulsing with power. Together they stepped toward the figure, ready to face every ounce of darkness that threatened their future. You don't hold the key to our destiny, Nathaniel declared, a fierce determination ringing clear. You're just a ghost of the past, Rebecca added, her voice steady and resolute. And we are not afraid. And with that, the darkness around them began to dissipate, the photographs and documents shimmering as truth flooded in, crumbling the barriers that had held them captive. As they emerged from the shadowy realm, sunlight broke through, igniting the night as if the universe itself had rewritten their fate. They stepped back into the world, ready to face judgment and whispering gazes, but holding hands, they faced it all together. Rebecca marveled at how the garden, now painted with vibrant colors of hope, felt different. It felt like home, like a chance to rebuild what they had lost. Let them see who we are, Nathaniel urged, the warmth of his hand reassuring. We are not defined by the past. The crowd erupted in confusion, unsure of how to react as the couple walked toward them, united against judgments lingering in the air. As they approached, Rebecca took a deep breath, ready to speak her truth. "We are stronger than any past. Tonight, we share our story together." Cheers erupted around them, but among the voices, there were still whispers of those stuck in shadows. But this time, they stood not as mere silhouettes, but as warriors of their own destiny, ready to reclaim their narrative under the stars. And as the trumpet of truth rang out like thunder, echoing with resolve, Rebecca realized they had rewritten their own story. They hadn't just danced under the stars. They had fought the shadows, and they would keep fighting together, step by step, in the light. Now that you've witnessed the power of truth and love, don't leave just yet. You need to subscribe now, so you won't miss out on more exclusive stories that inspire courage and heart. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and support our amazing community. Flood the comments section with your reactions, theories, and what you think about their victory. And remember, don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see that love can conquer all. Let us keep this journey alive together.